and Mary Tepfer to the Hayes Library Board. Both of them, that will be their third four-year term. So when people get involved in this community and our committees, they really make a commitment, and I appreciate that very much. Do you want me to read this, the whole list?
If you would like.
We're also appointing a new Youth Leadership Advisory Board. We're excited about that. The existing board actually helped a lot. They read all the applications and they made recommendations as well. It's always an honor to reach out and appoint these young people. Our new board will begin with Preston Murmas, and Preston is actually going to be, this will be his third term. He'll be, will he be a senior or junior? A senior. Aaron Reuter, Aaron's here, so you're back there. Jenna Brohl, hi Jenna. Elizabeth Nickel, I don't know Elizabeth. Elena Pineda, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, and I apologize if I messed that up. Mario Hernandez, and Reagan Byer. We have 3 students from TMP and 4 students from Hayes High, so we're absolutely thrilled. We thank you for the work you did on putting those applications together, or reviewing the applications as they came in, because we had a number of them, so it was some work for you all. Thank you so much for your recommendations. Having shared all of that, I take a motion for consent agenda approval.
I move we approve. As I'm related to somebody in this, I'll have to recuse myself.
Okay, and Lena, did you hear all the names? Would you consider seconding that motion?
I'll second it.
Very good. It's been moved by Commissioner Barrick, seconded by Commissioner Cunningham. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Passes 3-0 with 1 abstention and 1 absentee. Now we're ready for our current Youth Leadership Advisory Board. They're here today to give us an update of their current projects. And if you'll just introduce yourselves as you start.
Hi everyone, we are the current City of Hayes Youth Leadership Advisory Board. We have almost everyone here today. Preston might make his way in. He had an event out of town for school today. But we'll start it off with this. I'm Isabel Jones. I am the chairwoman. This is my second term on the board. Last year I served as vice chair. And then Preston is our vice chair this year. We have Caleb King, he's our secretary. Jenna Kistner and Aaron Reuter are our public relations liaisons. And then we have Marshall Sook and Jenna Brule. So this is us. About us, our goal and what we're basically here to do is to promote and encourage community development, involvement, and other participation with young leaders within Hayes, Kansas. So just get people involved in the community. So our first big event that I pretty much took charge of since we started it last year, and it was my second year, was our voting initiative and mock election that we did at Hayes Middle School this year. We did it at TMP last year. But we did it on September 25th, and we had the entire 8th grade class at Hayes Middle School in the gym for their seminar period. And we put together a presentation and had city, county, and state representatives there that kind of spoke about what they did and just to introduce some of those kids to government, and since you don't hear much about it until you get more into high school, and just make them familiar with voting, because an issue across the nation and an issue in our town is there's not a very great voter turnout, and we want to improve that as these kids get to voting age. And so we had that, and then we had a mock election following our little presentation, and the kids just voted for a class president. So 2 of our members basically just ran like a little tiny campaign, and then they were on different sides of issues, but say like we had like toilet paper in bathrooms, like good toilet paper versus like not so good, and then like phones in school, no phones in school, homework at home, no homework at home, that kind of thing. But they kind of took different stances, and one wasn't all good and one wasn't all bad, so it really made the kids decide and figure out what they really prioritized and wanted in their representatives. So that was really cool. And then we also had the American Democracy Project from Fort Hays join us, and the city provided cookies from Augustine's Bakery that said, like, vote on them, go vote. So, yeah, we had a really great time.
So I am Erin Reuter, and I focused this year mainly on the Mental Health Awareness Initiative. On February 19th, I went to TMP to bring awareness to like bullying and mental health and offer support. We had multiple guest speakers, including like a personal experience from Mason Reuter, and then we had Sheriff Scott Brown there as well to talk about like mental health and like jail and stuff like that. And then we had Kaylee Connor from High Plains Mental Health to talk about some statistics. And we got a great response out of the kids. They seemed to really take something out of the presentation, which I was really happy to hear. And then I am currently working on extending the mental health initiative to Hayes High, and we're thinking about doing it next year in the new school so we can do something even bigger and better.
Hello, I'm actually here. We had a band event in Oakley, so I was hoping I'd get back in time. So hello, I'm Preston Murmas. So we have our Fire Explorers post that I know we've been talking about for past year and a half roughly. Right now, we have had 6 training dates. We went operational in November of 2024. We started planning back in June of 2023. So it's nice to see that we're actually off the ground with that. Right now, we have 5 members, and then one of the posters we used to advertise the Explorers post. And then a few more photos, one of the other posters, and then one of our explorers being trained how to operate one of the ladder trucks by one of the firefighters. So it's been a great initiative. The department seems to enjoy it. Having met with EMS and the Kansas Forest Service, they've seemed to enjoy the program as well. So we hope for good things to come with this. Any questions on that?
Great program. We've been talking about it for about a year and a half, and it's nice to see that it's off the ground. You've done a great job with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. And then, like they mentioned before, we'll just kind of close it out. We reviewed applications and sent in our recommendations to the city. And these were our final. We have 3 that are currently serving on the board that will hopefully be reappointed for their 2nd and or 3rd terms. And then we'll have 4 newcomers next year, as some of us are seniors and we'll be graduating and going off to college. So we're really excited to see what these kids will continue to do in the coming years. Any questions from anyone? Okay, perfect. Thank you for having us.
I didn't know if you were done totally or you
Nope.
wanted questions on the slides.
Okay.
Because I do want to make a comment. I think the mock election, the second year, first year was great, second year was even better. I loved how it all turned out, and I can see it growing. And it's really a great thing for our middle schoolers to be able to get exposed to that. The mental health initiative, Erin, as I said when you first started planning that, I think it's one of the biggest things you guys can do in our society today and our young people. We've talked about that before. Particularly with youth suicide and things that have happened in our community with the farmers. I remember High Plains Mental Health wrote a grant to be able to have a suicide program, particularly for farmers. And they thought they'd have 200 to 300 people come. They had 700 come. So the interest in mental health in our community is really strong, and the fact that you are working with the youth, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I think this is all appointed now. That's what happened in the consent agenda, so you're all good. And I love the continuity with 3 of you being from the president. I think that really helps you poor people, and Isabel, you remember being the first ones out. You guys just had to kind of run by the seat of your pants, which you did very, very well. But having 3 of you carry over is really a good thing, really a good thing. Any other questions or comments?
I just love the maturity they got through this whole program, that now that they're seniors and ready to leave, that they can turn it over to the kids.
To the kids, yes.
It's very good.
No, I think you guys have done a wonderful job. I know as it's the 2nd year in its infancy with this program, taking things that are those aren't small projects that you guys have done. I know, like Preston, for sure, you had to go through a whole bunch of legal boundaries. It wasn't just like setting up a tent and saying, "Hey, come learn about this." No, it was establishing a program. I know, like the voting, it takes a lot of time and effort to align all those elected officials to get in one place at one time. So
That's always a fun thing.
you guys were patient and understood, and you ran the program phenomenally. And the mental health initiative, you know, as Mayor Jacobs stated, it is a very important issue in the community, and it's something I was proud to be a part of, and looking forward to the next, you know, large presentation in the new school. So that'll be cool. And for those of you that are going on to college, congratulations! You did an amazing job. You're gonna do wonderful in college. You're wonderful, fine young people, and you have a spot here back in Hayes when you're done.
That was the key. There you go.
That's the key.
That is the key.
And for the 3 that are going on, it's going to be even better next year, I think. I think as we're figuring some things out, I'm not worried about what you guys are going to be doing for our community. So thank you.
I know there's a lot of scholarship money out there that are going on to these seniors, and Isabella, you knocked it out of the park. It was pretty amazing. All of you are doing wonderful, but all the things that you were awarded through the process is wonderful. We got the best of the best standing up here, so we appreciate you. Thank you. Elena?
Yeah.
You have comments?
I just wanted to add a little something. I would like to say thank you to all of you for serving. Watching this program grow into the second year has truly been fascinating. You guys have all been very poised and picked programs that are needed and that you will be able to continue to grow. And so just thank you for that, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
And if you like, we're going through the audit next.
We can even get you a copy if you want.
Next item on the agenda is the 2024 audit from Adams Brown. Kim? Look how fast they're leaving.
See, I think it's fascinating, so thank
Fast.
you.
I kind of like it too, Jamie, so we're good.
Good afternoon, Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Have with me part of our audit team from Adams Brown, Jamie Benishek and Alexis Crispin. We don't hold it against Alexis that she's related to Jeff.
I would.
3 words that I always look for in this, my grade card, is no significant deficiencies, and we have that again this year. And gratitude to city clerk and finance staff, because they dot the i's, cross the t's to make sure that we get a report like this. And so I'll turn it over to them, and they'll do a review of our 24 audit.
Thank you. I am Jamie Benishek, and this is Alexis Crispin, and we're going to go through the audit. And I think Sandy is timing me, but she left, so.
Yeah,
No,
she hadn't started yet.
She's grabbing her book.
I left my book laying outside, Jamie.
Got it. On page 1 is where we'll start. I think you have a copy in front of you. The second paragraph there, this is our independent auditor's report. So the second paragraph there, you'll see adverse opinion on generally accepted accounting principles. This means that we did not audit your financial statements on US GAAP. We didn't follow that this year. For the last few years, you guys have elected out of GAAP and elected Kansas regulatory basis instead. So that paragraph just says we waived GAAP, and then unmodified opinion on regulatory basis means a clean audit opinion on the KMAG basis. So that means that your financial statements are materially correct in our opinion. So that's what you would hope to see in your audit report. On page 5, this is the summary of the year. I think I pushed the button. The summary of the year. Left-hand side starts at January 1st, and then your receipts and your expenditures for the year gets you to your ending unencumbered cash, that bold column there. So the total city had $54,711,000 of unencumbered cash at the end of 2024. You'll note that the capital projects fund is negative, and typically we don't like to see negative funds. However, this one is an exception. You have reimbursements and proceeds coming in 25 to rectify that negative situation. And so that is perfectly fine for that type of fund. So then here are the next few months as you start the 2026 budget process. These numbers are what Kim will start the next budget with. Page 6 starts the notes to the financial statements, and these are very similar to last year. So I joke, if you read them last year, you probably don't need to read them this year, but you can if you want. If there were no statute violations or budget violations or anything like that to note this year. And so, like I said, the notes are very, very similar to last year. So there was nothing else I was going to note in those. But on page 16, this is your summary of debt as of December 31st. So the total balance of your GO bonds, temp notes, revolving loan, and then the enterprise fleet management was $36,884,000. And then down at the bottom, you'll see the payoff schedule as those mature. So then the next, I don't know, 40 pages or so is each individual fund, and there wasn't anything unusual to note in those, but if you want to see what the general fund looks like, you can go to that page and take a look. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Alex, and she'll go over the single audit part.
Okay, so page 55 is where I'm going to have you start. And on that page, we have the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. So this is where we would note any significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, anything of that nature over your financial reporting, so everything that Jamie just mentioned. And as Kim said, no significant deficiencies, no material weaknesses. So we can move on to page 57. This is the independent auditor's report on compliance for each major program. So this is where we would note any deficiencies that we found for the major program that we tested for your single audit. And we do have one item noted on this. If you flip back to page 59, you'll see that that is 2024-001. That's a significant deficiency, and I will get into that in just a moment. Page 60. If you would like to know the total breakdown of all of your federal expenditures for the period, you had $3,341,507, and that breakout can be found on page 60. Page 62, this is kind of a summary for the entire single audit section. So under that first header, financial statements, you'll see that unmodified opinion on the regulatory basis that Jamie mentioned. No material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in that section. And then under federal awards, we do have that significant deficiency that I noted, but the opinion is still unmodified. You can also see that we tested your airport improvement program, and you guys do not qualify as a low-risk auditee. That's just because you don't prepare your books on GAAP basis, so nothing more that you could be doing there. So then on page 63, there is that significant deficiency that I mentioned. With the airport program, there is reporting that's required to be submitted, and it's required to be turned in 90 days after the period end. And of course, their period does not nicely fit up with your guys's. It's in September instead of a calendar year end. So 90 days after September, you're required to turn in specific reports to the FAA. I will note that I have never seen the FAA particularly care a whole lot about how quickly these are turned in, but there were 3 of the projects that didn't get turned in on time. It was kind of just a perfect storm this year. Usually the grant administrator helps to speed that process along. You have a third-party grant administrator, and then I believe there was also some medical leave with city staff, so they were just turned in a little bit late. And even though it doesn't appear that they care a whole lot about that timeliness, we do have to consider it and note it here. I do also want to point out that between the 2 options for finding significant deficiency and material weakness, significant deficiency is the lesser of the 2. So, any questions for me about the single audit section?
I think so.
Okay. I'll turn it back over to Jamie.
The last item is the governance letter. It's a loose leaf letter. You also have a copy of the corrective action plan. So there's 2 items there. The corrective action plan refers to what Alex just talked about the late filing, and you'll note that it's all been rectified as of today. They've all been filed, and
She added a note on her calendar, just as a reminder. Really, all we can recommend is that you try and add some reminders in there to get it turned in on time.
so that's what that letter says. And then the governance letter is 3 pages. And here we would note any recommendations we have that aren't necessarily a material weakness or a significant deficiency, but they help strengthen internal controls. And so on page 3, we do have one, reconciling the open purchase order report to the general ledger account. In a perfect world, we'd be able to just trust the accounting system that it does everything it's supposed to do. It didn't. It hasn't for a couple years. There's a couple of situations that happen that it just doesn't get processed the way it should. And so reconciling those 2 reports together will help identify those items and then correct them before periodically, but at least once a year, but more often is better. And so Kim had mentioned that they do have a plan in place to reconcile that. Are there any questions? I do need to take a minute to also thank Kim and all the finance staff, and definitely Jamie at the airport, because we kind of beat her out this year. And so just wanted to say thank you, and it is always a team effort to get the audit done. And our turnaround time, we came out in February and it's April, and I don't know if you have any other audits done in your world, but I think that's
pretty
fast.
quick. That's pretty quick.
So.
Thank you very much, and it's under 5 minutes, Jamie.
Was it?
That wasn't my instruction. That was your own self-imposed time. Kim, do you have some comments?
Nothing to add. She hit on the fact that program at the airport was hit pretty hard this year, and it's because it was a focus for this year. That doesn't happen every year, and it just happened when the airport has a lot of that funding coming in. She's got 7 fund grants going, and so that it was a perfect storm. And as far as the reconciliation, it's a known issue with the software vendor that we have. They're still working on that. We put in place a different process to hopefully reconcile those. It happens when encumbrances cross the year, and they are liquidated for an amount other than what the purchase order was for, above or below, and that creates an issue within the accounting software. So we'll
And it
work on
has
that.
in the past.
Yes.
Did we ask them to correct it in the past? Was there a correction?
We have. It's lingering, and they're working on it, and don't have a fix yet.
Okay. Okay.
So
It's
a
good to know that.
manual-
I just
It's a
wanted,
manual thing we've got to do that the system should be able to handle and doesn't at this point. So.
But yeah, they're very aware that we would like it changed.
okay, thank you.
I wonder if you do it more often and you send them once a month, hey, this one didn't do right,
Right,
this
right.
one didn't do right, this one didn't do right, then
It's kind of that, squeaky wheel.
yeah,
Mhm.
you gotta yell a little louder.
It is frustrating. I had something similar happen today that we're waiting on, and it's makes me crazy. And I'm sure it's making you crazy, Kim, more so than us in this situation, as usual. Well, I think it's outstanding audit as usual. We appreciate and that you got it in February and got it out now is unbelievable. It's really good. But that speaks to our staff as well. And we're very glad to hear that they're cooperative, because they're not always that way. We do congratulate Kim and his team and Jamie at the airport. We know how much time this takes for them to do it appropriately. So we appreciate it, Kim. Thank you. Please
you.
thank your staff. Any comments, commissioners?
I know it was rough on Jamie, but I love the fact that you picked on the place that had the most going on, and it still came out that clean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so if there was any chance that there was going to be something, that would get through the cracks, it would be somebody that's that busy with that many things going on. And the fact that came out clean makes me very proud of Jamie and at the airport and all of the staff. So congratulations, and again, thank you for all of your work keeping us clean. So thank you.
We know how good they are, but it's always nice to hear from somebody else, too.
Yep.
Mason?
Yes, I'm glad that you guys were able to go through this so quickly, because staff does a great job at what they do. And then any issues that arose were taken care of, sounds like, almost immediately. That's another thing you guys are pretty much perfectionists when it comes to this. So I appreciate you, taking care of the funds that we use. So thank you.
Elena?
Yes, I'll just echo a little on that I appreciate everyone's work that went into the audit and all of the staff's preparedness and work they do leading up to it. Clearly speaks volumes about our staff to get such a clean audit. So thank you, everyone.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve I'm sorry, I guess it's up there. I move to accept the 2024 audit for the City of Hayes as presented by Adams Brown.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Reuter, seconded by Commissioner Barrick. Any other comments? If not, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Thank you. Passes 4-0. Thank you very
you.
much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Oh, my goodness, we're at the end of the agenda already. Commissioners, Elena, would you like to start since on the phone? Any comments or?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to start. I had the privilege of attending the Western Kansas Congressional Conference, and I felt like it was my first time to attend. Very productive sessions. I felt like we exchanged really valuable information. Came home with a lot of unanswered questions still, but that's kind of the climate for us all. But I feel like we engaged and made some great connections to help us look for some answers to things that we're trying to work through. So I'm just really grateful that I got to experience that and partake in it.
Thank you. Commissioner Barrick?
Yeah, I would just echo that, and the fact that while we were there, we had a very large contingent from Western Kansas, but especially from Hayes and Ellis County. And it shows again that really Hayes and Ellis County are really, sort of on the same page and wavelength, and that we work together very well and we communicate well, whether it's being complimentary or calling out our representatives in DC to continue to work for us and look for all the advantages that the federal government should be doing for us. And I think that we were heard. I think that's an important part.
Thank you. Commissioner Reuter?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity to meet with, Senators Moran and Marshall and Representative Mann, and surprisingly at the reception, Senator Pat Roberts came I think he was invited by Representative Mann. So that was nice. I hadn't had a chance to meet him in person yet, so it was a good conversation with him. The individual meetings, highlight things that we're looking to do in the community. We talked about health care, mental health, child care funding advocacy within the Farm Bill, IMLS funding, and last but not least, the R9 projects that we're continually working on. We got the opportunity to thank our representatives out there for their letters of support they provided for BRIC program, the funding that was pulled in the last week. But each one of them, staff in particular, were very helpful in saying we're going to identify ways to find additional pools of funds to allow us to continue this with all the work that we'd put into it, the hours, and how well we were doing with that program. So it was a good opportunity to chat with all of them and let them know what's going on in Hayes, and that R9 is still moving forward. And they all were happy to see what kind of turnout we had with our community. So appreciate their time to let us talk to them.
Toby, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Somebody had to stay behind to take care of the city, and Jared and I did that. I think we did a very good job. You didn't
Designated
have
survivor,
no
martial law.
That's right. No, you didn't get any calls or any complaints about us while you were gone, so I think we did a good job. No executive session? Nope. We're adjourned.